Hello, good morning. Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. This is Terry Allen, and I am a radical progressive. I was listening to Andrew Yang this morning, and he has a problem. He is incorrect about robotics and taking away factory jobs, etc., etc. He is incorrect. Since the industrial age started, that is what has been happening, as machines are being built to replace labor. It's been going on for a long time. Everything that we have mechanically could be considered a robot. So, like for instance, the printing industry that I was in back in the 80s was pretty rudimentary. The way things were done back then is that you would have this light table and you would lay out different layers of mylar or plastic, and you would put together pages of a newspaper or a catalog or a book. It was very labor intensive, and I worked for a company that made equipment that would replace that process. The computer systems were mainframes. The system that we manufactured and that I operated and serviced actually were about $1 million each, and they did what Macintosh does now with page layouts and Photoshop. It's pretty rudimentary, but it did work very well. And so one system replaced about 30 guys on light tables. So some people would look at that and go, oh my God, look at all these jobs that have been taken away by technology. But what you don't see is the industries that grow up around the machines, the computerized systems. Call them robots if you want. You have an entire industry built up with manufacturing and design and software writers and service engineers that install the equipment, and you end up creating a bigger industry that replaced the one before it, because it allows more people to buy the systems to do the jobs, and prices go down. When Macintosh took over in the 90s and could start doing Photoshop, suddenly everyone that was in their home could buy a printer and a small computer and be basically a desktop publisher. So, in a situation like this, it carries on from technology to technology, from changes that have been made and implemented to replace labor. Now, the labor that's being replaced, for the most part, is very mundane, boring jobs that machines do very well and makes employees bored out of their minds. That's what technology was all about. You have, back a long time ago, we had printing presses that were first designed by Guttenberg and others after that. But before that, you had manuscripts that were just copied by hand, one at a time. And there was always a lot of mistakes. The Bible is a perfect example. The Bible has been copied and copied and recopied for centuries, for 2,000 years or longer. And so many mistakes, so many errors, is that the Bible that we have today doesn't really look anything like the one from the 1st century AD. Much different. Things have been added. So once you get printing, you can duplicate correctly documents. And now with electronic publishing, it's all computerized. So many more books are on the market. So many more people are able to do it. It creates its own industries. So I'm sorry, Andrew Yang, you are incorrect, but that's okay. Everybody needs to be involved, at least in solving problems, and I do agree with his UBI. I think that's a good idea, because what that would do is it would eliminate welfare and EBT, which is food stamps, and would eliminate all kinds of programs for the poor and the middle class. Technology actually creates more jobs than it takes away. And that's a fact, and we have stats to prove that. I've been involved in technology since 1980. I'm an electronics engineer, and I worked on equipment. I've repaired different kinds of systems. And everything, every machine that's out there, washing machines, refrigerators, automobiles, printers, I mean, you name it. Every one of these little machines allows you, it's a tool, and it allows you to do things more efficiently and easier. So if you look at all these inkjet printers and the HPs and all of that out there, millions of them, it's a whole different industry. It's a whole new industry. The problem is companies like HP, what they did under Carly Fiorina, she's run for president a couple of times. Thank God she didn't win. She was the architect behind the dismantling of the American factories for HP and moving everything to China. And she received a multi-million-dollar bonus for that, which laid off thousands of Americans. That's the problem, Andrew Yang. Not technology, not robotics. That's the problem. It would be much better if these factories would buy robots and equipment and machinery to keep doing things here, and the people that are displaced can move into these more interesting jobs, designing and manufacturing these robotic systems and printers and equipment. The problem is most of these industries are going to China. I'd much rather have them stay here and the owners invest in equipment. That would be much better for our economy, much better. So that's just one point that I wanted to make. There's a couple of videos that I need to make here shortly, and one of them is I am just inundated with emails from the Democratic hacks and the party, the DNC. Oh my God, I should read these off to you, but then I have to turn off the camera. It's ridiculous. I mean, every one of these party hacks, Tom Perez, Nancy Pelosi, of course, Biden and Harris. I mean, I'm getting emails from people never even heard of. Thank you, Bernie Sanders, for selling your mailing list, your email list. I really appreciate that. God, come on, man. As in the words of Biden, come on, man. So, there you go. I'm assuming that everybody's getting all these stupid emails. And I'm going to look through them. One of the things that I did see today, and I have to give Biden credit. Now, who knows if he's really going to do it or not, because that's the problem. These politicians always say a lot of things, but they never do it. Is that he's going to raise the cap on Social Security deductions from income to $400,000, I think. I would like to see just the cap completely removed altogether. That would fund Social Security forever. The problem with the super rich is they don't actually have incomes. They don't get a salary or a paycheck. What they get is stock options and different bonuses, things that they can write off differently, particularly stock options. And when you have companies buying back their own stock, it artificially inflates the price, and those decisions are made by the people that will actually benefit from that. And these multi-rich, I mean, how do you think a lot of these billionaires were made? Was by taking factories and businesses from the United States where the labor rates are relatively high, not high enough, and moving these businesses and factories to cheap labor pools. Not necessarily China. You've got Bangladesh and India and Vietnam. I mean, you name it. We are sending factories to these these cheap labor pools. And that's how these billionaires get so much profit, because they're bringing these products in that are manufactured really cheap. Do you know iPhones only cost about $50-$60 to make? And how much are they selling these damn things for? $1,000? No wonder Apple's got just flush with cash. No, those phones should be made here. They might cost, I don't know, $300 or $400 to make here. Apple's still going to make a fortune. It's just that you're not going to create so many billionaires, because we don't need billionaires. Okay? They're just scum. They're scum. They really, really are. They're sociopaths. They're psychopaths. There's been doctors that have analyzed billionaires, and they are narcissistic scumbags, and they think that if they donate a little bit of that money, that they're being a philanthropist. Give me a break, okay? We need a wealth tax. But the Biden campaign is getting support from the Chamber of Commerce, U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Oh my God, that's a very telling point. Wall Street's backing Biden. The military-industrial complex is backing Biden. What is that all about? Why would these industries and these bankers back a certain candidate? They're going to back a candidate that's going to benefit them. And Biden has a history of benefiting bankers in the military-industrial complex. So, of course, they're going to back him. But in my eyes, since that's the enemy, and the enemy is going to back a candidate, then that candidate is my enemy as well. Because I've seen Biden's record, and it's appalling, the things that he's backed. NAFTA, for one, just destroyed industry here. The Iraq War, and he's lied about it. He lies so much about everything. You should look at some of his campaign speeches in the 90s. Oh my God, what a plagiarist, what a liar. He was just making up stuff. He even was saying that he had 3 degrees and he graduated at the top of his class, and top half of his class. And he had to finally admit that he only had 1 degree, and he graduated almost at the bottom of his class. I don't know what he thinks, that nobody's going to look into this, give him a pass. Well, he's getting a big pass now from the media, the MSDNC and CNN. I saw Wolf Blitzer went after Pelosi. That was good. She, of course, didn't answer. She has the power in the Congress to just sit down and say, we're going to pass this, and you need to pass this stimulus for working class. And if the Senate tries to balk against it, that is one good commercial against your opponent, is that we had the stimulus package on the desk of the president, and he wouldn't sign it. There you go. You win the election. But Democrats don't understand that. Oh my God, they wring their hands. And how do we get these Trump voters? Well, remember, half the population in America, half of the voting, the people that are actually qualified to vote don't. And there's a reason for that, is because they don't figure there's any use. They've been voting for years and nothing has changed. Nothing gets better. It's constantly getting worse. So what's the point? And I tend to agree. So anyway, I gotta go. I'm going to sign off. This is Terry Allen, Radical Progressive. And hopefully you can hear, because the last video I did was so noisy I couldn't even use it. So this is Terry Allen, Radical Progressive. Have a great day. Thank you.